Morning, Central Texas. Welcome to KISS Community Connections at My KISS 1031. I'm Phyllis Jones. Guess what? Yep, I'm your host and I'm your guest. I guess I'm my guest. But anyway, here we go. And first of all, it's not my weather again. Last week, remember, it was my weather. This week, I don't know. It's not my weather because it's getting 60, 80 degrees. I don't know what's going on. But I guess it's Texas because if I wait a couple of seconds, it'll be cool again. But I want you to remember last week, my guest, her name was Tanya Chapman, and she talked about she talked about mental health and the fact that more of us have it than we think, and more people are walking around with mental health issues than we know of. Sometimes we just simply say so-and-so has a problem today, they got issues. We say a million words as to why this is going on with them, without realizing the person can be suffering from mental health. And it's youth as well as adults. So we're not going to say it's just an adult thing. No, you have kids who have mental issues, mental health. And it's not to say that that they're born with it or they have they're, it's hereditary or whatever. You realize that kids go through a whole bunch that we don't know about. Our kids do. We just think that they wake up in the morning and going to school every day when, no, you don't realize that the pressure some of our kids go through, as everybody knows, I work in the elementary school, and I never, if I hadn't worked in elementary school, I wouldn't realize that some of these little kids go through some stuff. And certain things that are small to us become huge to them. I'll say like the first day of school. You have no idea how much a backpack means to a little kid, pre-K. You have no idea how much the new and latest backpack means to them because they actually talk about it. They actually discuss these things. We don't think that, but they do. These little kids discuss snacks. Snacks become a big issue. And you would think that, having some snacks, no. It's an issue thing here going on. You get kids who don't get the right snack and they come to school, they're upset. Their whole time is ruined because they got a snack that they don't want. And you hear me, I'm saying a snack. Just a snack that we would think that they would, be happily to have. Snacks can cause issues, especially when your kid comes to school with no snack and everybody has one. And you have no idea that for them, that's a mental problem. They have actually a bad day. Their whole day is ruined because they didn't get their favorite snack. And from that point on, guess who suffer? We do and the rest of the class do. Because at that point, this kid got an issue. And it's a severe issue. People say, no. At this point, this kid's going to a mental breakdown. And yes, it's over some goldfish, really, seriously. It's usually goldfish, but we have no idea. And our kids now wear the other part. A little girl came up to me the other day and I was, how's she doing? She goes, I don't know. Our light's going to be out when I get home. I don't know how I'm going to see with no lights. A 4-year-old should never have to worry about that. A 4-year-old should never know that the light's going to be cut out. But those mental issues are things that we put on their little bitty bodies and we don't actually realize that they wear that, that they actually wear that. One of the kids in my class, and yes, I work with special kids, 4 and 5-year-olds, but she came to school. She goes, I have to go to the doctor today when I leave school. I might be really sick. I'm like, what? I'm thinking, what? And I listened to her again, and I'm like, I said, well, you probably just have to get a little checkup. She's like, nope. So a couple hours later, she says, so my doctor's going to call my mother, and I'm going to have to go there. Okay. And I'm like, well, let's just do your work right now. But guess what? That bothered that little girl all day. She didn't quite eat much of her lunch. She didn't eat much of her snack. She couldn't do much work because her poor little self was worried about her doctor calling her mother and she's going to have to go. And her not knowing. Even me saying you could just maybe get your a physical and it's okay. That her whole day was mentally torn down because of that. Now guess what? When she went home, she didn't go to the doctor. So the next day, what was the first thing on her mind? She came to me, Miss Phyllis, I didn't go to the doctor. I don't know why I didn't go. That wore on her. That little bit wore on her, and it changed her entire mood. And you think she's 4. She's 4. But our little kids have to go through that. So let's not think mental health issues only are for our adults. Our little people go through things too. And as we know, we got kids committing suicide over bullying. And that is a mental health issue. Because it's bullying, and bullying takes upon this in physical ways as well as mental ways. Mentally, it tears a child down and a person down, and physically, they usually end up committing suicide if they don't get the right help. But anyway, when we was on the show last, I challenged Tanya to hold a workshop or even open up, have a discussion, an event to talk about it. So she is. She took upon my challenge. So on October 25th of this year, 2019, she's going to have an event. It's called Suffering in Silence, Mental Health. It's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. And it's going to be at Filio's Event Center, which is 868 South Fort Hood in Killeen. And to tell you exactly where it is, it's down from Big Lots. So you know what? On Thursday the 25th, 6 to 8, we should be at Filio's Lounge. And she's gonna have a panel, and her panel will be both. It will be professionals and personal people on her panel. Because when you have a panel like this, you don't need all professional people. You need some everyday people who have walked through it, because the professional panel might not have walked through it. They studied it and they passed the classes and they did what they need to do, but they might not have ever went through it. So there'll be both people to talk about the mental health issues there. And also she says we must not ignore or be ashamed to have a public dialogue about mental health within our community, particularly Central Texas, because far too many people and their families are suffering in silence. And, she's right, because like I told everybody then, I've been knowing her since she was in high school. And every now and then she would disappear and I wouldn't see her. And she'd reappear and I'm like, this is the most changingest child I've ever seen in my life. Didn't know that she had a problem, though. And I didn't bother to ask. I would just ask her why you keep disappearing. And, she would just say, oh, I am. I do. Or she'll say, one day we'll talk about it. And it became, that's it. We would one day talk about it, but we didn't. But you know what? We have a lot of things going on this month and a lot of issues going on this month that we also need to talk about and tackle. Last week, we all know, about the lady, Miss Ferguson, who got shot for being in her house from a welfare check. And I would say that not all welfare checks are that way. That one was, because I'll tell you one. Where I live in Killeen, there used to be a lady, and when I was working summer school, every morning when I would go to work, she would be laying in the grass. And she was laying in the grass because she was digging weeds out. She was a senior citizen, and her vehicle was always outside, garage door up. So every morning I would see her, and sometimes if she's facing my direction, I'd throw my hand up, waving, or whatever. Well, one day I went past, her vehicle was out there, but she wasn't. And her garage door was open, but she wasn't outside, So I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe she, whatever. I gave no more thought to it at that point in time because, one, I was on my way to work, and one day of a change, okay. Second day I go by, her garage still up, her SUV in the driveway, and she's still not in the grass. I'm like, so I wonder where she at. Okay. So did I do anything that I didn't? So third day, I drove past that morning, same thing, right? So I'm like, I got to do something about this. So when I came home, I called the police, called Killeen Police Department, and did a welfare check. I'll just say his name. Our Officer Maurice Jones came to my house, and we walked down to her house. And the first thing he did when he got there was he called the water department. I thought that was weird, but he called them to see if her water was off or on, because that would have let him know. I'm like, but her vehicle's in her garage is open. Anyway, he went in to do a welfare check, and everything wasn't okay. Well, she wasn't okay. But what I want to say is this: he didn't ramble her house and shoot her, like that. He did it the correct way. And he was as concerned as I was about the lady. And I was glad that I did do what I did. But I'm not saying, what I want to say is not all of them are the same way. I know a lot of people were talking about they're not going to, I'm not calling the police department for a welfare check. Well, I don't think we need to take that much of an attitude and not do it, because still a welfare checks are needed and it might save someone's life. Or, we can find out that they just simply changed their routine. But being the concerned neighbor part is something that we can't say I'm not going to do it anymore, or, I'm going to think about it or whatever, because her incident hopefully will never happen again. And we don't know why. But also I'll say not all police officers, as we know, are like that, and would do what he did in such a crazy way. And everybody wants to know the why without realizing you might not ever know why. And we never will know why. So the why is gone. I don't think we need to worry about the why. We just need to concentrate on what's happening and what we're doing about all these situations. And it's time that we step up and do something about these situations. But we always do one thing. We hold a rally. We do. We hold a rally and then we go home. We do. You go home and you tell everybody about the rally. You put it on Facebook. We all get to see it. And then you go home. And we just go home. But we don't do anything else. Well, we need to start new ways of addressing issues. And we need to do things in a different style. And when things like this happens, senseless shooting, senselessness happen, instead of everybody doing one thing, we need to quit doing that. We're not our forefathers anymore where a protest will last 180 days, a whole year. That's not going to work because we're not going to do that. I'm not going to say we've progressed past that. We're just simply not going to do it. So we don't even need to detail that. But we need to start doing different things. If something is happening, first of all, we need to attack the ballot box because all this goes back to voting. It goes back to voting your city council because remember your city council is the ones who hire these police chiefs who in turn hire the police officers. So remember, we're still in charge of that little purse string there, And a lot of times people say it's not all about the money, but it is because money controls everything that we do. So if I attack you at the ballot box, I've attacked all the way around. And that's what we need to go start doing. We need to start looking at who's hiring these people, who's voting these people into office, and what are their feelings. We need to go back and do our research on all those things to come up with, this is what we need to do to attack the problem. So while we're protesting, I'm cool with a protest. I'm not going to say don't do them. We need to do them. But let's do a variety of things. And what I mean by this, let's say something kicks off and we decide to do a protest on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, not everybody needs to protest Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so many of us, a couple hundred of us might do a protest. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a couple of us might do phone calls, might do emails. We might walk around with T-shirts in the most prominent places in the city. And what I mean by prominent places, I'm talking about rich. I'm talking about like your malls, your big grocery stores, your stores, walk around with T-shirts. But if you do a multitasking of things in one day, guess what? It becomes effective because that means not only the people who listen to the rally is going to hear it, they're going to say, well, no, I saw some people in the grocery store. Well, I know there's some people did phone calls. Somebody did emails. Somebody did Facebooking for so much time. Guess what? If you do all of that, people understand, okay, they really mean business these days. Okay, fine. You got to remember our forefathers did marching because that's all they could do. There wasn't no Facebook. There wasn't no, there were no cell phones where they could, walk, talk, call people. None of those things happened. So they did it the way they did it. They did it effectively, but they did it of the days of those times. Okay, now our times have changed. We can do the same things in a variety of ways. But first thing we need to remember is go back to that little thing we call voting. Because no matter how much you say it, how much we complain about it, it does work and it will change things. It will wake people up. It will make people realize that, okay, we need to fix this. We need to do something about this. We need to start holding our county and our city officials accountable. We need to, okay, let's say the police department. If there's all these random things going on in that police department, then we need to find out why your city manager or your mayor hired that police chief. We need to look at the police chief at this point and find out, do you really understand who you're hiring, who you have? We need to go back to those things and not just go out there wildly and protest and say we're not going to take this anymore when we are, because we're not doing anything about it. We're not at all. And so to change things, we need to come together and stop being the I, me. So we need to come together, and the person who does this the best should be the one to do it. We don't need to argue, I can do it better than she can or he can. No, if this person is good at, let them do it. Because everybody's good at something. Everybody is. Everybody has an area that they're good in. You need to stay in that area and do what you do. But if we all come together and get this done, guess what? We can change a bunch of things. But we just need to do it. And we need to do it with our voices, and we need to do it with our vote. We need to remember those things. We do have those. Those cannot and won't be taken away. because we're going to fight for them, but we need to fight on a different way, in a better way. I was talking to somebody, and we're talking about somebody who's in jail and supposed to be executed next month, and the big thing to get him out, to stop it. Well, I talked to one of the people who was discussing him. I'm not going to talk about it because they're going to come on the show next week and talk about it. But I was asking, I'm like, I never heard about this until you put it on Facebook. He said, no. So he told me all the many ways that they had talked to and reached out. And I was like, okay, have you did a conference call? He goes, whoa. I'm like, okay, I'm a conference call freak. I am the conference call. I'll do video chat. I'll do all those things because I can't reach 50 people at one time. But I can go to a conference call or video conferencing and talk to everybody all the whole time, and got input back and forth. But I can reach more people and talk to them simultaneously. Where we talking back and forth and engaging conversation. I could do that without the protests and with all that. I can do all that and get that done. Well, he hadn't thought about that, and. Not to say I'm this brilliant person who did it. It's just that I am the conference call person. And reason I do, as everybody knows, I'm the state education chair for the NAACP, and I talk to all the chairs across Texas. Well, I can't talk to them altogether any kind of way, except for a conference call. So I do them. I can reach out and have all 50 of them on the phone, and we're conversing back and forth, and we initiate a plan, and we in turn do it. So we need to think about doing those things when something happens. A cause is, and everybody want to do something about it. We need to do everything about it, but we need to do it simultaneously. Just stop doing the one item things and then we walk off. So that's what I'm gonna say to that. But I happen to, I looked a little closer, and we always talk about the leading cause of death, and we do. We keep it up, and we know that it changes. So I decided to look at the leading cause of death of men. Just men, not just. Well, I first looked up just men, just men, and there was always the 6 leading cause of death. So guess what the 6 leading cause of death for men are? 1 is accidental death. Okay. 2 is suicide. 3 is homicide. 4 is heart disease. 5 is cancer. Guess what 6 is? Use of police force. Just think about that. That's now a leading cause of death, use of police force. And now mind you, my first thing, I did not do African-American men. I just did men, period. Just general men, bam. And that's what I came up with. So then I decided, okay, let's see if this changes if I go to just African-American men. Guess what? It didn't change. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So the 6 leading cause of death in men in the United States, both African-American and non-African-American, is use of police force. How that sound? How does that even sound? That doesn't even make sense. I'm going to go say I can accept. I can understand accidental death. I got that. Suicide, I got that. Other homicides, I got that. Cancer, heart disease, I got that. But it should never be use of police force. That should never be a cause of death where it's got a ranking of the 6 leading cause. That shouldn't be there. But it is there. So you know what that says to me? That means that we need to do something about it. Now, I went on further with this little research, and because I once I find out something, I just got to keep going, and I do. So it says 100,000 black men and boys will be killed by police during their lives, and then it says 39 and 100,000 white males and boys will be killed by police in their lives. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. That sounds like we're in a nation now that we need some change. We need to be helped. We need to come together and work on this problem together, because it's more so, yes, affecting African American males. Yes, it is, but it's affecting males all the way around. The 39 and 100,000 is bad, and 100,000 is bad. Those things aren't good. We need to wake up and change some things. Just like we let sex trafficking get to, where it's the leading thing. It leads Texas. Texas is second in the United States under California. We shouldn't be there for that. It shouldn't be. Also, we see on the stats that black men are about 2.5 times more likely to be killed by a police officer than a white man. And we need to look at those numbers, people, and we need to stand up and we need to discuss it as a whole, not as a group, but as a whole. We need to find out who's saying what, who's doing what, but basically, no, we need to go back to the same old thing about your ballot box, because your police departments are controlled by the city manager or the mayor of your city. That's who controls the police department. They in turn hire and fire the chief. They make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and if he isn't, he's challenged on that, and to make sure he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. But you know what? We need to go back, and we need to see, and we need to check and find out exactly what's really going on. And we can't say, a lot of us have sat back and we didn't do anything because what we said? It didn't happen here. We did. We said it's not happening here, so we don't have to worry about it. And we didn't. We sat back and said that. Okay, guess what? Let's see. In Killeen, we've had a couple of no-knocks. We had one that went really tragically bad. We had another one that went tragically bad. One, the police officer got shot. The next one, the guy got shot. So it has happened in our backyard. So we can't say it doesn't happen in our backyard anymore, because it did. It did. We were here, and it did happen. Both those things happened. And you know what? Other things we said, I'm going to do this, and I would do that if it happened. We didn't do nothing about it. We didn't do nothing about it. We just complained, and we did the same thing everybody else did. We did nothing. But now we've let police shootings become one of the 6 leading causes of death in both. In men in general and in African American men, the same thing. We should never have let that go that way. And when I was looking at those, why did I look at those numbers? Because I was curious. I wanted to know, had it changed any? And I found out it did. And I also see, like I said, I looked at the places that did the research on it, and we should do something about it. It was also covered in the Washington Post. I follow the Washington Post a whole bunch because they do a lot of controversial things in their paper. Not that they're negative, but they're also good. And you won't find a lot of people that print that. But we need to do something about it, people. We need to wake up. We need to come together. And that, there's a new word called together. Some of us don't know what it means, but we need to come together and we need to start talking. We need to open up a dialogue, and we really need to start talking. We need to stop talking at each other. We need to talk to each other. When we talk, we need to build. We need to build. Our police chief, he does in Killeen, he does the breakfast with the people, and he does lunch with people. And when I see it, I don't see many people being there. So maybe we need to call him out for an evening, for a dinner with the police chief. But we need to actually talk about stuff. How you hire your officers, how you check their mental their mental capabilities. How do you check those things? What do you do? What do you say? Because, all of us, majority of us, I'll say, that are here in the Central Texas area weren't born here. We came from somewhere else. But you know what you bring with you? You bring your neighborhood with you. No matter where you go and who you are, wherever you were born and wherever you were raised, that's still with you. That instinct is still with you. If you had a dislike then, it's 10-1 still with you. You might have said, overcame it, but guess what? It's still there. It's really still there. And when you put a melting group of people together, melting pot such as we have in Central Texas, it's good because we all do learn to get along with respect. But sometimes it's weird because we all go back into our own little groups, little areas of safety and security, and we do that. We work together, but we do it because it's a comfort zone, and we do it. We don't realize it. Well, sometimes we need to learn to open a dialogue with everybody. And what I say, our own little comfort zones, and I've noticed I do that, and I'm trying to get out of it. When I host events, one day we were talking, and this lady came to one of our meetings where we're hosting an event, and she was talking, and it was funny because she's from Deep South, so she had a real Southern accent, and sometimes she was saying things, and we would all stop talking, and we would look at her, and after a while, she says, "Okay, why y'all keep standing?" We're like, "Because we don't know what you said." She said, "Well, we don't understand some of the words you said." So we're sitting there putting it together in our head of what we think she was talking about. And, it was like, oh my gosh, it was a tug of war for a minute there. But what we also noticed about us, all of us who were working together, except for her, we were all from the same part of the United States. We were all from the same part of the United States. And I'm saying it because that's our comfort zone. because we click from, we're all from that same area of the United States, so it's easy for us to work together, and we do that. And then I looked at myself, I'm like, dang, everybody who I'm sitting here with is from New Jersey, Philadelphia, I'm from Michigan, from Chicago. We have nobody from this area working with us. Why? Because it's our comfort zone, and we do that a lot. And when I noticed it, I mentioned it to another friend of mine. Like, do you realize we're all from the same area? And they was like, what? Do you realize we're all from the same area? We thought about it. Yeah, because it's our comfort zone. It is. It's our comfort zone. So we've now made sure that we get out of our comfort zone. And when we do events, we align with everybody, but we do it. And like I said, we do it because this is where you're from. And no matter who you are and where you are, wherever you're from and where you were raised, it's part of your DNA. It's part of you growing up. It's part of your mentality, way of thinking. We can sit and talk about food, and after a while, we'll drop off. And I can sit here with Joe. Me and Joe could talk about something, and all of a sudden, one of us will drop out the conversation due to where we're from. Not due to what color we are, due to where we're from. Because we'll say, what? Don't know nothing about that, so I'm through. I'm finished. I can't talk to him anymore. We were talking, we were talking about food one day, and this lady mentioned, she was saying that she wanted to go get chicken fried steak, right? And her and a couple others were sitting there talking about it, and I had nothing to say. And they looked at me, so why you not talking about it? I can't get it. This is what I can't wrap my brain around chicken fried steak. I can't wrap my head around it. Doesn't make sense. So I was left out of the conversation. And I sat there looking at them like, to me, I'm like, do they know how to sound chicken fried steak? Do they really understand what they're saying? And I'm thinking from where I'm from, they never. And she said, didn't they serve that in Detroit? No, we don't know what chicken fried anything is except for fried chicken. But chicken fried steak, chicken fried chicken. I'm like, all those things. I said, white gravy? No. They say white. No, we do white gravy. No, we didn't. And we're steadily talking about them. We didn't do that. Nope, we didn't do that either. We didn't do that. And then we went on to music. And, I'm a Motown child. I am. I'm straight up Motown child. And if you grew up in Detroit, such as I did, we didn't know anybody else existed. We really didn't. We didn't know there were other people in the world until later, years later, in the 70s and late 60s, we realized there were people who sung other than Motown because we were it. We were it. And we realized there's other people out there. So I'm saying I like to say that it is such as with police officers and everybody in every profession, you bring home with you when you do things, mentality wise, and we need to pay attention to that. And that's when we need to do some corrections in the way we think and what we do. And I say a lot of these police officers who say, they feel threatened. I'm not justifying that. I'm not justifying that. But I would like to look into see where they came from and how they grew up. Because then I don't want to understand it, but I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what's wrong with you. That's where they came from. Because I disagree with all. I feel threatened. The other day I was watching on Facebook. This white guy was coming after the police officers, and he had a mental issue because of the way he was coming after them. But they didn't shoot him. They were battling back with him, but they didn't shoot him. So my thing is, why didn't you shoot him? I mean, I understood why. Actually, I wouldn't have, because he had a mental issue. So I would have, used a stun gun on him most likely, or tased him, but wouldn't have shot him. But I'm thinking if he was African American, he would have been shot, not just whatever. So we need to be careful of all those things. Those are all the little things that we need to talk about. We need to talk about mental illness. We need to talk about where it's coming from, what's going on with it. We need to delve into the fact of our youth having mental illnesses, and we need to trigger all that into our police shootings because it was a lady that did get shot last week, and she was an Anglo lady, but she's an actress actually. She got shot by the police because they came to her house for a welfare check and realized that she was having a mental breakdown, but she also had a BB gun in her hand. Yes, I did say that, a BB gun in her hand, and she aimed it at them. And it was a BB gun. So I don't know whether the BB gun looked like a rifle or whether it didn't. I don't know, but apparently it did because they shot and killed her. But she was having a mental breakdown at that time when they shot and killed her. She was actually having a mental breakdown, but they shot and killed her anyway because once again they felt threatened. And I'm like, okay. This feel threatened thing is becoming the norm right now, and we need to make it an unnorm. And make sure that we stop using it. We stop allowing it to be used as a crutch. We need to not do that. and we need to make sure that we change things. But the only way we can change things is if we all come together, sit down, and have an open dialogue. And we need to push it, and we need to work on it. And I guess what I'm gonna end up doing on the show is bringing a group on here where we can have an open dialogue. Man, that'll be something. But maybe we can do an open dialogue on the show just to start it off and to get everybody uncomfortable, because right now we're all in the comfort zone, but when we get uncomfortable, that's when we tend to react and we tend to do things when we're in an uncomfortable zone. So maybe we need to get to that kind of zone so that we can come together and we can actually do things and make things change, because we do have the power to change. We know that. We've changed things before, but we just become complacent, or we become people who say, this not happening here, so when it happens here, I'll do something. Then when it happens here, you go, oops. What are you going to do now? Well, I'll wait till it happens closer to me. Well, okay, now I did. What you going to do? Oops, nothing. So basically, we weren't going to do anything in the beginning or in the end of it. We were just running them off and talking. Well, we're going to take a break and we'll come back and we're going to talk about upcoming elections.